Welcome to Thriver TV, where it's my humble joy to help you understand how and why we get abused by narcissists and how to create your life without them and thrive. So let me start off by saying many people in this community have fallen for more than one narcissist. And this could be any aspect of life, like a narcissistic boss or a friend. But for today's episode, let's talk about romantic relationships. I was one of these people. So please don't be in dismay as a result of you doing this as well, because I know many of you have. It is so easy to get involved with a second narcissist. And this is how this formula often goes. People usually initially fall into a relationship with a big, shiny, overt narcissist, somebody who's exciting, who appears confident, passionate, personable, and charismatic. And we all know how that went horribly. And then after discovering that we had been hit by the freight train known as a narcissist, we research them and we try to be very aware and wary of people with who we're going to connect with in the future. So we may be looking for someone kinder, less obvious, more responsible, and somebody who doesn't need to hold the center of attention. And also we may be drawn to someone who is nowhere near as selfish or arrogant. Somebody who gives to others, who cares for others, as well as us. And maybe somebody who's even connected to charity or humanitarian deeds or has, a really benevolent standing in society. But little did we know that somebody who is less assuming and more giving can also be a malicious and dangerous narcissist. And that's what I want to talk to you about today, who these people are and what we can do to be safe and free from them in the future. So first of all, let's have a look at the covert narcissist, which is often people's second choice of a narcissist. Not always, but often it is. And this person seems quieter and more humble. They're definitely not obviously arrogant. This is the person who might be sitting at the back of the room, observing others rather than taking the limelight. Yet this person is still really in hubris. They're still arrogant, but they do it in a more covert and a victimized way rather than a brash way. So rather than tell you how wonderful they are, these people will tell you that they're unrecognized for their brilliance. And rather than a brash, overt narcissist who's out there seeming incredibly confident and successful, these people will make excuses for why they haven't been successful and why they haven't been seen. And this person is more passive-aggressive rather than expressing the hot anger that a narcissist does. However, they are still completely and utterly capable of narcissism, even malignant narcissism, things like pathological lies, nasty acts, cruel indifference, blaming you and everybody else and refusing to take personal responsibility for their behavior. And they don't take a good long look at why they behave the way they do, and they are not humble at all. As, evolving, self-responsible people are and have to be. And you will discover that, like the overt narcissist, this person can smear you, throw you under the bus, discard you as if you don't exist, and be incredibly cruel and unkind and even set authorities and minions onto you and try to destroy your life. They can do all of that. So, and you think it isn't a narcissist, and it turns out to be incredibly cruel and horrible and narcissistic. And then there's the altruistic narcissist, which is also often people's second choice of narcissist. Again, not always, but often it is. And this is the really benevolent narcissist who puts themselves out for others, kind, considerate, incredibly attentive. This is the person who jumps up to help others, who donates their time to causes and may be revered in the community for their good deeds. And this person is going to be so kind to you. They'll rub your feet, they'll cook you dinner, they'll run you a bath. They'll be so kind and caring. And you say to yourself, how on earth could this person be a narcissist? Yet further into the relationship, you'll discover that if you challenge this person, if you rock the boat of their perfect image of themselves being a wonderful person, that this person can explode, be horrible, and just as cruel and nasty as any narcissist. They do the things that only narcissistic people can do. Yet, if you pull away from them, they can cry, they can be so sorry, they tell you they'll never do this to you again, and they'll make it all up to you. And they will go out of their way to look after you, be generous to you. And quite frankly, they seem to be so delightful for a large portion of the time. Yet when they crack and the demon appears, they can throw the entire relationship out the window with the most disgusting abuse, aloof, heartless discards, and also the altruistic narcissist I've found with so many people in this community, and my personal experience as well, they can be very prone to adultery. Altruistic narcissists often turn out to be having affairs on the side, as well as triangulating people against each other. So telling the lover that you're the crazy one and telling you that that person is the crazy person, keeping you separate while toggling both of you or even more people. And another very painful aspect of the altruistic narcissist is their kindness and their generosity comes at a price. They want the payoff. And they love creating financial dependencies with you. So you start feeling dependent on their generosity and them taking control and paying for things. And then when the cracks appear, they are very capable of attacking you with financial abuse, citing you deserve to be punished after everything they gave to you when the relationship ends. So this saying that I want to share with you is very apt with any narcissist, and especially the altruistic one. If you're getting a free lunch, you are the one who may get eaten alive. Okay, so understandably, it's really confusing being with with a narcissist. It's not atypical. It can be so confusing for a while. And you're going to wonder whether or not you're actually with a narcissist because they don't fit the usual character of a narcissist, which, as we know, is conceited, those delusions of grandeur, larger than life, and all the usual behavior. They don't fit into that category neatly, so it is confusing. And additionally, you could feel really sorry for the covert, victimized narcissist because it's always about what happened to them and how people are bad to them and what they went through in their childhood and all of this stuff. And you may see their potential, especially if you've got a tendency to try and fix and heal people so that they'll love you, which is a pattern that you might have played out in childhood with a parent. And also with the altruistic narcissist, it can be really hard to identify and get clear about what they are because they are so apparently loving and giving, and they're the perfect partner, except when they pop. All right, now I want to give you the real reasons why we repeat relationships with a narcissist again, just like I did. And it's not because you haven't researched narcissists enough and you recognize these types logically and you know what to look out for in these types. And in fact, if that's the only path you take, and or the path that you think you need to take, it is not going to protect you at all. I promise you. Because no narcissist comes into your life wearing a t-shirt, "Hi, I'm a narcissist." You know, like, so that fun, big center of attention person, absolutely they could be a narcissist if you know anything about narcissism. But the other types, there's no way you're just going to pick it. Here's the thing. There are much quieter intellectual types like the covert narcissists that are not narcissists. And there are giving, romantic, benevolent, caring people who are not narcissists. 100%. So how do you know the difference? There's only one way you can know the difference. By having done enough inner work on yourself that you have cleaned up those often unconscious parts of you that were feeling needy and empty. And I need to explain this, and I don't want you to get upset by this. I'm not blaming any of us for getting with narcissists. I'm just helping you understand at the deeper levels how it happens, just as it did for me and the second time around. And the reason I'm helping you understand this is so that you can take your power back and understand what it takes to get to know somebody's character for real. Because when you take your time to get to know who somebody is, you will realize it's important to say no if they're moving a relationship too fast, which narcissists do. And you will be able to speak up if something feels off, rather than, "Oh, I'm just going to keep the peace," or "No, I'm imagining it," or "Everybody has a bad day," or "I don't agree, but I don't want to, disagree with them." And then by speaking up if something feels off and asserting your truth and your values, and you can do it nicely, calmly and directly, you're going to discover what this person is like in a conflict situation. Are they going to be humble and have a mature conversation with you, or are they triggered easily into a narcissistic injury? And if you've done the inner work, you're going to be able to retain your life that you've established, rather than making this person immediately into an instant relationship in the center of your universe, which is what any narcissist wants you to do. So that you date this person platonically at a healthy pace before letting them into your heart, your body, your soul, and your life. Because narcissists are like a Trojan horse. They want to get in the gate really quickly and then explode out of the horse and take you over. That can't happen if you take your time. Now, I know that so many of us were really programmed to believe that this isn't romantic, and this is maybe because we're scared or we're paranoid. And especially after being with a narcissist, I want you to know that this approach isn't because you're scared that this could be a narcissist. You take your time because it's just a healthy, sensible, mature thing to do. When you buy a new car or a house, you do your due diligence. You don't just go, "Oh, that looks awesome, where do I sign?" So taking your time and doing your due diligence is even more important to do when you're choosing a potential life partner, because you stand to lose so much more than a dodgy deal on a car and a house if you've made a mistake. And I didn't know this like I do now regarding dating people. And when I got hooked up with narcissist number 2, I still had many aspects of myself that were unhealed. I still had abandonment and financial inner fears. I thought I'd worked on them enough, but I hadn't. And I also thought, because he was so different from narcissist number 1 being the overt, narcissist number 2 being the altruistic, and because he was so kind, I really thought I'm going to be incredibly safe with him. And again, I fell into a relationship far too quickly. I got swept up with the romance, the kindness, the acts of service and the generosity that, of course, were the exact opposite of what I'd experienced with the overt. And I really believed that he couldn't be a narcissist. But here was the thing. There were warning signs that I overlooked. At the start of our connection, he texted often. He wanted to bond too quickly. And to be honest, I let this happen and I even encouraged it. And by the time I saw his chinks, which are the mind games that were quite cruel that he was playing with his ex-wife, and the bragging to me about how he did things for others so that he could cash in on the payout from them, and also some really off views about how all men think about women, it was too late. I was already in a relationship with him. And again, I found myself waking up in bed next to a man who I was bonded to, in a relationship with, who didn't share many of my values and truths about how I saw the world and the way I wanted to live and the way I wanted to treat others. But I was enjoying the spoiling and his ability to care for me and how he drove the bus financially in our relationship. Again, after it was all said and done at the end of this 2-year relationship, I again ended up in horrific trauma after being abandoned several times for other women and also financially devastated and smashed again. And this time I was 46 years of age. I was shell-shocked, I was traumatized, and I was in despair when I discovered that I had again fallen for a narcissist. And thank goodness after that, because I was spiraling down and went into a big black hole, I remembered and I replicated the Quantum Freedom Healing Path, which is the NARP work that I'd discovered with narcissist number 1, to be able to break free from the psychic hooks, the soul infiltration, you know, that horrible soul disease of narcissistic abuse where we feel like our life force is sucked out and we're helpless, powerless, and everything that goes with it. You know exactly what those symptoms are because you've experienced them as well. And I was able to quickly, once I did get clear, I was able to quickly recover from my addiction to him. I was able to purge myself of the trauma symptoms that had all flared up again. And then I got very determined to work out and clean up what had gone wrong and what my tendency was to be in narcissistic relationships. I made that my greatest mission, to go that next step. And these were, as it always is, the traumas that were triggered, that he'd hit. Those were my unhealed parts. That's what was up and huge for me. It was about being discarded for other women. It was about abandonment. It was about losing financial security. So I had to really heal those things up properly. And then I started working on looking at my boundaries, about speaking up, about taking my time, and really having a full cemented life that I would love and I would retain, rather than I need a man to have a life, and being prepared to lose it all to get it all, to back my values and my truth. And if you're not a match for that, well then we're not going to be together. Doesn't matter what stage we're at, it's not going to work. I got very clear on what my values and my truths were. So now what happened is, with my partner now, I have 3 years. When he showed up in my life, he was very generous, romantic, caring and kind. And I remember a girlfriend, she said to me, she said, well, how do you know he's not an altruistic narcissist? Because he sent poetry and he picked me up for dinner with flowers and lovely, beautiful things that most women love. And I adore those things. And I said, do you know how I know he's not an altruistic narcissist? Because I kept it platonic. We had a non-physical relationship for 3 months. And also too, he wouldn't text me several times a day or 20 times a day. And if I was busy in my life, whether it be work or whatever it was, and if I didn't respond to him in 4 hours, I wouldn't get a message of looking for where I was or some kind of weird hook to make me feel guilty or something where I thought, oh my God, you know, he's not. It was all calm because he was solid within. And I did my own thing and I traveled overseas. And what I discovered in the 3 months, he had a great character. He was a kind person. He was healthy. He was sane. And I spoke up and I disagreed with things if I had a different opinion. I wasn't being the yes girl. And we were able to have healthy, sane debates about things. And I saw he wasn't triggered. He had a strong inner identity. He had great relationships with people around him that were genuine. And I discovered within these 3 months that we dated platonically, getting to know each other, that he really did share my values and my truths about life. And this is why our relationship works and it's happy. And I am so grateful that I took those steps and that healing and that orientation of realizing what was going to be necessary to walk healthily into a healthy relationship, was to take my time and be whole enough to show up authentically and to question things and be myself and stay aligned with my values and my truths regardless of who somebody else was or wasn't being, to see if they were healthy and they were mature and we could have a healthy, mature relationship. And I've loved, you know, in this progression of my own evolution, to be able to help other people in this community thoroughly clean up this pattern of repeat narcissistic relationships for themselves. So it actually ended up being so perfect that I went down the path of that second narcissistic relationship, because I would never have understood the dynamic of how we can fall for it again with a different narcissist, whether it be a covert to an overt, or an overt to a covert, or an altruistic. It happens to so many people. And I also completely understood that this is not about trying to research or work them out. This is about deeply healing our own solidness and maturity and our evolution to be able to choose healthily, take our time, and have boundaries. So I hope that this makes sense to you, because I know a lot of you out there have done more than one narcissistic relationship and understandably have a big fear about walking into another one again. So I can't recommend enough. If you haven't already, please come into my free webinar so that you can understand more deeply the subconscious things that you may not have cleaned up that can lead you into narcissistic relationships, and also too so that you can learn about NARP and how you can be a part of our incredible community that supports your evolution into narcissistic abuse-free relationships in the most powerful, fast, straight line that's possible, because we all deserve real, true, genuine love. I really hope that this helps. So until next time, keep smiling, keep healing, keep thriving. There is nothing else to do. And remember to like and share this video with people who it could help. Lots of love. Bye-bye.